Last night, Nuggets take the win, 135-120 behind I don't even know if I wanna call it Herculean because he made it look so easy, but behind a Herculean effort and scoring game, like monster scoring game from Jamal Murray, 52 points on 10 of 11 shooting from 3, by the way. Nuggets led this game wire to wire. It was close until it was. It was close for about 4 minutes, and then it wasn't close at all the rest of the game. I will say Jay Huff, like, we attacked him pretty relentlessly. It didn't matter which big was on the floor, and not just the bigs. I think the guards did too, like, attacking him downhill in transition and just taking advantage of the fact that he has to play such a deep drop. He got turned around pretty not just, like, everybody remembers the one where Yo kind of pump fakes him out of his socks, for a dunk at the rim. But some plays as well where he kinda gets lost with the actions that we have with our perimeter guys as well. And that was, like, the story of, like, half this game, to be completely honest, like, with our offense was like, "Oh, wow, like, we're bringing J Huff into these actions, like, a lot, and it's not really going well." Peyton Watson, I don't think that he did really well navigating screens at all in this game, regardless of who he was guarding. I do think that he was still pretty good one-on-one against Pascal Siakam, but whenever Siakam, like, made him go through a screen, it was kinda curtains, like, Siakam was getting that open look, and Peyton, like, was like, "Oh, shoot, what do I do?" You know? The thing I wanna try to pay attention to more over the next few weeks is when Denver decides to play Jokic in a higher drop or at the level. Because I think that Peyton is a good screen navigator, but I don't think he's good enough to make deep drop look good, especially with the way that Jokic is playing at the rim. I think Maul went
Yeah.
crazy because he wasn't about to lose to both Nemhard brothers. Oh my gosh, so true. Can't lose to your Canadian brethren. Can't lose to the other Canadians. I
Mm.
appreciate Jamal for that.
He has to do it
um,
sometimes.
yeah. But why don't you start? We'll talk generally about the Pacers, and then when we get into the film clips, I'll talk about kind of comparing how our defense did versus the Pacers versus the Mavs.
Oh, what do you want to start with? Just general
Just
thoughts?
yeah, general thoughts on the Pacers game. Any specific things that you wanted to point out?
I mean, the Jamal game was
Yeah,
amazing. He was like
yeah.
the second coming of Nikola Jokic. Not necessarily in specific style, but the ball just went exactly where he wanted it to go, and that was in the basket all the time. But he did have some good assists. He had some rebounds. He was doing everything. And yeah, I mean, some people, comments in the chat, if Murray didn't drop 50 on that efficiency, Nuggets lose. I mean, maybe this is like
I
what you
feel
hope.
like when they don't score as well, they defend better. Like,
Yeah, they lock in a little bit. Yeah, when they're
yeah.
firing on all cylinders, they're like, "Oh, we're good." But yeah, it's one of those things. But you want the Nuggets offense to be elite and unstoppable, and the way that Jamal was scoring off of like Jokic's gravity in terms of what the Pacers defense was deciding to do was just really fun to watch. Like that's why we love Jamal and Jokic. Is like
Yeah.
if like they can't really help off of any actions because Jokic is rolling and then you're trailing off of a screen and the center is going to have to help, but then Jokic is going to be open. So not that it's gone away completely, but the Nuggets like pick your poison offense. It's always so hard to defend. It was just so nice to see again versus the Pacers. And when you have injuries, you want one of your two best players to take over the game. I mean, we've had people complaining about Jokic being too passive, whatever, that's fine. So to see like one of
My
them
thing
take
is if
over the
he's gonna
game in
be passive
this,
offensively, he better be defending, and that hadn't
which
been
is not
happening either.
happening. Yeah. But I mean, Jamal, yeah, he looks great. He looks like the player we wanted to put next to Jokic all along. We don't get this Jamal Murray every night. And of course, no one's going to shoot 91% from three every night. That stat is absolutely insane. But it was fun to watch. And I'm hoping that it's like inspiring for the team. Like we need this get right game. And it was mostly like a Jamal explosion game. And yeah. So
Every other game has been a get right game because they keep losing at home. Alright, let's get to some sweet, saucy Jamal clips. Jamal is gonna come up for a handoff. I guess this is kind of like a little like Tim trying to set that screen for Jamal to come off a handoff, and Nemhard is just hard denying him, and so Jamal's like, "Okay, I'll cut." And
yeah.
there's nobody at the rim because of how far up Isaiah Jackson is playing on Jokic. And this whole setup here is completely dictated by the fact that the Pacers want to pressure Denver so much that they've got not a soul is touching the paint right now, and so Jamal gets to take an effectively uncontested, layup here,
Yeah.
after he
But
gets separation.
yeah, I mean, Nemhard is trying to have a heads up play, like overplaying that screen and just allows the back cut. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
two plays where Jamal just shows his kind of savviness with like setting that screen and, cutting off Jokic is like must feel automatic to him at this point.
Yeah. It's really just like, can I get away from this defender or not? And it was easy
Yeah.
in that
That's why I
instance.
loved watching him in this game. It was like anytime the Pacers did anything, if they were overplaying a screen or going under or whatever, even just helping a little bit too much off Jokic, Jamal and or Jokic punished them.
Jamal, this is something that has stood out to me this season. He's never really he's always taken these transition pull up jumpers, but I feel like he's doing them more frequently now, or at least hesitating on them less. Has a defender like fully backpedaling, has all the space in the world that he needs here because of how far back Pascal is playing him in this like semi transition here. And then Pascal plays him for the drive and Jamal's like whoosh. And this is the nice thing about this about Jamal's reputation is like defenders usually got to play him for the drive. Like, that's a thing. And that's probably on the scouting report because that's just how Jamal generally has liked to play. But his willingness to turn those drives into like step back threes is very, very useful instead of just the step back, middies for example. So post entry into your I don't actually understand how. So you've got okay, so Huff tries to front. That's what I missed. Is he's guarding Jokic, but then he comes to front and you've got Nemhard as like the weak side help guy. What I would have done here, honestly, if I'm the Pacers, is have Shepard front Jokic and force Peyton to like make a play off the dribble. Um and then if you need to like help on that.
If Jokic had maybe his feet under him a little bit more, because like he looks over, Nemhard's already coming over to help. He sees Jamal open in the corner.
Mhm.
Pascal is zoning up
Mhm.
on two on the weak side. But yeah, kind of takes a second. Maybe he's wondering what
He's
Spencer
like,
Jones is
"Okay,
going to
Jamal, I
do.
need you to be at a slightly different
Yeah, he
position
needs
so
him
that
to.
Pascal doesn't intercept this." Because
Yeah, he
Pascal's
just.
got quite the wingspan. He could just jump up and potentially intercept that pass if Yoke tries to zoom it to the corner. So you've got some clips here. Jamal's zoom.
Yeah, we've had some
There's some zoom
Zoom.
action.
We just went to that every time in the late section of the game where, you screen for Jamal, who then runs into getting this handoff, and he was just
Yep.
coming off. And it was always a dilemma of whether whoever was on Jokic was going to help off
Look
of
at
that. Like,
look at Yoke's use of his butt on that screen. Because Tony
yeah.
Bradley he's like, I'm gonna create as much space as Jamal needs here, and
And this was pretty good defense too. Like he was able to kind of hedge off Jokic and help and then let Jamal's man recover, but he's trailing and he's running at full speed, and so Jamal can just kind of do a step back and look how much space he has right there to
I
just
think I
rise up.
remember watching this play and thinking Jamal just doesn't make that pocket pass to Jokic anymore. And then I think like 1 or 2 possessions later, he makes a pocket pass to Jokic, and Jokic like front rims the floater, and I was like, oh god. That zoom action is so automatic for him, and it's not just something that they go to, it's something that all their other plays flow into as their, like, last resort play. They're like, "Okay, Jamal, hand off Jokic, like, run your thing here. We couldn't get anything good on this set or
Hmm.
on this particular play," you know?
Yep. And the
Um,
Pacers, there was just nothing they could do because even if they played it somewhat well, Jamal was just hitting every shot as we were talking about. And then I just included another. There was even more than just that one, but so Peyton again setting another
yep.
screen, or kind of, or the
Eh.
clip keeps
Yeah,
skipping, but you
he
can,
clips him, he clips him.
yeah.
I'll take it.
But the
That was really good recovery from Shepard. Jamal was just on one. I mean, that's a
Exactly.
really good recovery from Shepherd, given he totally gets clipped on the first one and then has to also chase around Jokic and is
Yeah, he
still
got a
like
hand up
in
barely.
pursuit.
But you gotta love when the Nuggets just go to the same play all the time and then just add little wrinkles. Like we saw that with the Horns alignment with AG and Jamal and Jokic. We just kept doing that. Just P Watt screening for Jamal and Jamal getting a handoff from Jokic and hitting a shot every time.
Yep, yep.
What did you think of Jamal in this game? I mean, I know he's incredible. Did you feel frustrated at all, just being like, I wish we had this Jamal all the time, or were you just happy and just loving it and loving seeing the blue arrow?
I didn't even realize that he was, like, that close to 50 points. I remember noting like, I remember tweeting during the game, in the first half, like, Jamal's, like, really just kind of played within himself this game. He's taking shots within the flow of the offense and, like, doing what he needs to do, not just the scoring, but, like, doing what the team needs, like, on each possession. And I was noting it, I think, during his stint with the bench because Adelman had been trying this thing the last few games of, like, Cam as the solo stagger for a few minutes and maybe, like, Bruce is, like, the initiator, but, can't like, they're playing through Cam. And a few times it's worked, and tonight or last night, it did not work, and they needed to bring Jamal back onto the floor and whatever, and I was just wondering, like, how is this gonna not upset the balance, but does it change the balance of, like, how like, what they're doing out there? And, yeah, so it's like Jamal, Cam is still out there, and Bruce, and maybe Jamal subbed in for one of the other bench guys. And I just thought there were so many possessions where Jamal's like, "It's okay. I'm just here to, like, help stabilize things, but you guys keep doing your thing. I'm gonna, like, get the ball up the floor and get the ball like, enter the ball to one of you guys. You can still run your same sets, run your same plays. I'm gonna be, like, a weak side guy, and I'll spot up if I need to. If you need me to initiate, I need to." It wasn't like nothing was forced, and that was my note in the first half of this game. And he was already scoring a lot. It just didn't feel like it's not that it saying that it didn't feel like he was trying to score. It's not like it never at any point before the 4th quarter felt like a game where Jamal's trying to go for 50, if that makes sense.
Oh
And so
yeah.
the way I felt about it was like that was like a perfect game from Jamal. He was decent defensively. He played within himself on the offense. Got a little like maybe a little too aggressive towards the end, like chasing the 50 points and whatever. Got there. It was just like didn't throw off the flow of the offense or anything. Just I'm here. Maybe you could say like some of the transition pull up jumpers or but you have to, like, live with that if you like, once a guy's on a heater, you just kind of, like, have to let him, like, continue to cook until he cools down, and we've seen Jamal cool down sometimes in games like these for sure, and I do think that he did a little bit toward the end there where he was no longer making 100% of his jumpers, you know? But I just thought it was a really good, like that's
Mhm.
about as, like, within yourself you can get on a 50-point game without being AG on night 1 of the season, right?
Yeah, but he had 11 attempts, 10 for 11 from three is crazy. But were you happy to see that?
Yeah.
And then
Undeniably. Jamal three-point attempts, that's one of my stats, man. Like,
yeah.
it's
And do you feel alleviated at all with these defensive concerns and losing to these teams? Do you feel better about it knowing that, we have this form of Jamal and like so much of like talk before the season and talk of the Nuggets outlook is like, how's Jamal going to play? Because we only go as far as Jamal goes. Does seeing him in this form make you feel better about the team's outlook? Or are you just kind of like, good, get a consistent season together for Jamal and
yeah.
then, but we got to fix these issues?
Yeah, consistent because, like, the offense hasn't been the problem all season, like, all season, except apparently in the clutch where it's only average, but then the defense is, like, even worse than it is on average in the clutch. The team needs to get their defense together because I don't wanna waste good Jamal games. I will say against I think it was the Spurs. It's a really bad Jamal game. I thought Jokic and Jamal were both really bad defensively in that game, and offensively, it was just kind of, like, hard to evaluate because there were multiple points throughout that game where I felt like they were just kind of out of sync with each other. But defensively, especially both of them were really bad in that game, and I thought there was that back and forth that in I'm going back to the Spurs game again, between Jamal and Devin Vassell, where they're kinda jawing at each other. Jamal, goes down, hits a pull-up 3, and then, like, doesn't get matched up in transition, and Vassell gets a wide open pull-up 3 on the other end. And that happened multiple times in that game. where I was like, "Okay, they're not playing serious basketball." And that's like Jamal finished 36 points that game. I don't think that he played a good game because of just how bad the defense was. It wasn't just that, like, there was bad cuts, but the transition off the defense generally was just really bad for the whole team, but Jamal included. And I wanna say Jamal especially and Jokic especially, like, because those guys are especially with AG out, you guys are the leaders of this team. Like, you need to not just, be vocal leaders, but also set an example on the floor. And I just thought that Jamal came to this game with the right energy, came ready to play, didn't work himself into it offensively or defensively, was flying around with everybody else on defense, and I just think that that makes a huge difference to this team, and that's the stuff that isn't gonna get talked about because he scored 52 points. It was just, like, a really good all-around game, and I wanna, see more of that from him, obviously. It does make me wonder, though, especially with the injuries. As good as this team was to start the season, Jamal has been really, really good offensively to start the season, like, very efficient scorer, really good passer within this offense, and it just makes me wonder, like, what the team would have looked like if he had started slow like he normally does because of how, Cam started the season as a scorer and, like, Jokic had the first 2 games were like, "Is he washed?" Like, were some of the takes, and so I know that the team has had some really impressive wins early, not just the ones against good teams that were close, but the, blowout wins against bad teams, like taking care of business wins early, not so much in the last couple weeks, at least not consistently. Um, but I still feel like they're kind of teetering on an edge and all of these little things add up, and I would like them to continue to build their margin for error if they can
Mm.
by defending better and winning their home games so that they're not in a really annoying and unnecessary seeding race at the end of the season.
Well, I hope you're right. And like Dan Lynch said, I hope we have this version of Jamal in April in the playoffs. I hope it happens all season. Not that I expect 50-point games every time, but like just a confident shot that we can rely on. He looks quick, he looks shifty, and that's what I want for that position. But yeah, like still questions with the Nuggets for sure and concerns. Like I think if you're a fan and you're worried about certain aspects of the team and looking at roster holes, looking at certain players not playing exactly how you would want, like that's all fair, but like we're always going to have a shot once we get to the playoffs if healthy, and I'd rather have injuries right now than later. So yeah, hope AG heals up. I don't want him to like sit until the playoffs, but at least sit until you're confident that you can like rehab that hammy and not flare it up again because it's a sensitive injury. And like I still like our chances as good as OKC looks.
I would like us to defend more so that
um
AG does not feel the need to rush back also. Like,
mhm.
I think that that is a good value add to playing better defense over
Yeah.
the next few weeks. Daniel Lynch, the fact that they're never going to overtake OKC for the 1 seed is in some ways liberating. I agree, but you still wanna get the 2 seed, and now that you've lost 4 home games in a row, you're no longer, like, shoo-ins for that, so you need to, like, get back into a position where you can make yourself a shoo-in for a 2, maybe 2-3 seed by the end of the year.